G'day, Dan here. So just wanted to check in. I just did a bit of a session just volunteering at a place called Serving Our People, where it's got a really good model. Looking forward to catching up with the owner. I met him, I didn't know it was the founder yesterday, but you know, I was talking about these op shops out there and how I think a lot of you will agree the prices are going up, at least here in Australia they have. And so anyway, they have clothes on rack there for like $5 an item, and the good stuff on rack, and a lot of them giving away to those that are in need, and people can come and use their social security number and get 15 items, and pretty much they could ration that all out for the whole week really and survive the food, which a few I served today are doing exactly that. But anyway, the proceeds from the op shop go towards the food. So those that don't know, and you can see plenty of interviews I've done in the past in regards to food and sustainability, and there's a working group coming up which is geared around exactly that. This is the three main components I mentioned on the video earlier: family, homes or shelter, and food. That I'm interested personally with music programs as well. So anyway, I think when it comes to pay it forward and, you know, grassroots stuff, and I know Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance, when we talk about the pesticides and all this shit on our lawns and keeping them nice and pretty, as opposed to just planting seeds on them and actually being able to live and eat off that, is something, you know, I did a thing on guerrilla gardening, this book I went over, which, you know, anyway. So the digital agency and the programs, just as an example, the frameworks themselves, the purpose frameworks, are going to be able to be applied to a sector, say food, let's talk about. And then within that, you'll see what I do is bring together world leaders, domain experts, to do group interviews, give them value from the independent marketing tools and whatnot. You know, they've all got their own businesses that they can benefit from. They might have these things in place, but if not, and this is something where you'll be able to eventually do that same thing through, you know, making these things accessible and, you know, whatnot. So yeah, basically just to document and just to stipulate what's going to be occurring, and in a few different sectors. I've been doing the same thing in sort of music and all the areas I've got an interest myself, and then proving up the sort of marketing systems. So again, for the individual, and then for the collective. How does that work? Collective being a mastermind type group, but strategically a working group that some of them, not all of them, like generally with communities and stuff, you're going to have a certain percentage, like I think it's 90% or 70, whatever it is, that are just sitting around, or there's 7 or 10% doing nothing, and there's certain percentages anyway of people that are going to be engaged. Small percentage, highly engaged, 7 or so percent I think it is. So, you know, again, with the content that will be produced from a collective group, there's ways to measure contribution of people spending time in rooms, and you know, the admin side of things will streamline as much as possible, but in these group discussions, and they'll evolve, there'll be an evolution of conversation, and we can actually have these conversations and, I suppose, stories again, you know, going back to the story festival of certain things on grassroots that need to be solved, that we can solve as people on grassroots community level. So yeah, I'm really excited about the potential of, and some epiphanies, you know, seeing what's working with, say, the Serving Our People group. And so yeah, looking forward to sort of talk to them and see what can come of this. But there's definitely planted some seeds for myself to, you know, how the working group and everything that I'd sort of had mapped out in my head, and the people that are there, how we can subsidise, you know, and use, say, going back to that simple mechanics, the op shop and furnitures and all these sales help fund the food. So how do we do that on a big level? Now I'm thinking, all right, anyway, you'll see some content I'll putting out there in regards to the food and the way it can work, and encourage, you know, those domain experts. And again, as I said today, whatever sector and industry, you can go ahead and do the same thing. If you're purpose driven, go and organise the categories of all this stuff and build a platform. Go and do it. But that's what we're doing here, and you're invited to, you know, join. So I'll get clear and show you all in one of the next videos coming up what the sections are, and, you know, from health, wealth, relationships into the different sort of subsections and subsections underneath that. You know, in food there'll be subsections. You know, there's, for example, soil regeneration. There's, you know, different sectors of ways to be able to produce the food on different scales as well, whether it's down to the home or whether it's commercial, and the different types, and even the supply chain, you know, might be a sub conversation, and even bringing back conversation I've had in the past in regards to industrial hemp for clothing and, you know, manufacturing and stuff like that, and how that can, I'll contact of mine used to talk about getting rid of all the sugar mills, and sorry if you like sugar, and replacing them so the jobs aren't lost with the industrial hemp. They can produce a lot of furniture. You know, it can be doing a hempcrete that is at a point now where it can actually go into the slush, into the limecrete, which is usually the sort of materials that goes into these 3D printers to print homes. And if you're not aware, it sort of starts to cross over into other sectors, like for the shelter, the housing sort of things. But anyway, I got a habit. You should be used to me doing that by now. And yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so I won't go into too much. We'll keep that for another video, but you get the gist. I'm going there, dead end right here. All right, I'm going to pause this or stop this video, and just keep an eye out on some of this material coming up. We've got some live interviews. Might just be AI and myself waffling on. We've got, you know, starting some working group sort of conversations, starting conversations. So join the conversation as well with your comments, and if you know anyone that is actively doing things in the food security space, and, you know, maybe already have proven models, just like what I'm mentioning with the serving our people in other parts of the world, then yeah, it'd be great to get an introduction and have conversations, interview them. All right, peace out, enjoy your day.